News Team. John Huddleston, weather with Richard Scott, and sports with Gary Harris.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. Two candidates are vying for the Tuscaloosa County School Superintendent position. Today, Cherokee County, Alabama School Superintendent Brian Johnson took to the desk and fielded questions from the school board. WVUA's Travis Leader has more in tonight's top story.
It was Brian Johnson's turn to take on any and all questions the Tuscaloosa County School Board threw at him. Johnson's focal point throughout the meeting was the importance of communication.
I think communication in areas, superintendent, board relations, across the curriculum, across the school. I think if you're a good communicator and you put those things out there, positive things will happen.
Cherokee County Schools currently has a modified block scheduling, which takes out standard class time to allow enrichment, where a student could learn to play piano, chess, or even learn to ride a horse. Johnson says even though this system was a success in Cherokee County, he says he will have a wait-and-see approach before implementing it in Tuscaloosa County.
I'm not the type of person that just wants to change something to be changing, so I would like to look at it, analyze it, seek counsel, and then at that point maybe look and make a conscious decision.
Johnson says it's important to keep good relationships with the governing leaders of the county.
The current board does have a good relationship with the county commission, but I would like that to be something that's open, that we could work on a daily basis. And like I said, more importantly, making sure it's a two-way street, that it's just not all us asking and them giving, being there for each other.
But the biggest issue for any incoming superintendent is the county school's debt situation. Johnson wants to reach out to the public to increase school funding.
That is a concern. A way to hopefully increase that is, I think, that you have to earn the respect of the public. I think that would be something that you might could go to the voters with, but I think they have to perceive that, number one, that you're spending the money the way it's supposed to be spent.
Reporting in Tuscaloosa County, Travis Leader, WVUA News.
And the board will meet again at Hillcrest High School at 4:30 Wednesday. Coney County, Georgia School Superintendent John Jackson will take similar questions. There is no timetable on when a decision might come. Meanwhile, on the City Beat tonight, the possibility of building condos near the Tuscaloosa Historic District has raised questions about the city's planning commission. Councilman Lee Garrison says that city leaders are planning to work with the commission in relation to buffer zones that were created more than 5 years ago. Garrison says there needs to be clearly established guidelines implemented. He also wants to establish a process that will keep appeals against the commission out of the courts.
So putting in an appeal process to where if any aggrieved party does not agree with the planning commission decision that is in relation to a buffer zone, that they can appeal it to the city council instead of having to go all the way to city court immediately.
Garrison says he began looking at establishing clear guidelines after concerns voiced by his constituents. Well, plans are underway for the rebuilding of a fire station number 4 in Alberta City, but it's going to be a while before the construction is complete. Tonight, Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox gave a time frame of about 2 to 3 years for the project. He says that it would take 12 months for the design, 6 months for the bidding, and another 1.5 years for construction. You might remember fire station number 4 was damaged in the April 27th tornado. Maddox says what he is most concerned about at this point is gaining funding for the project.
Going to be obviously several obstacles moving forward. Number one is do we get the EDA grant? If we get the EDA grant, means we rely less on insurance proceeds, and so we may want to wait to see if we get the grant.
The city is also working on plans to rebuild the East Police Precinct, which was also damaged in the storm. Meanwhile, extra funding is headed towards the repaving of Loop Road. The project is in its third and final phase, which extends from Fairmont Drive to 36th Avenue East off Woodland Road. Traffic engineer David Griffin presented the amendment, which will add $160,000.
The projects committee has approved that supplemental or amendment to that engineering agreement with Allman Associates for the Loop Road engineering.
The repaving project is expected to be completed by mid-December. The estimated price tag, $2.2 million. Well, listen to this. Drivers who have been convicted multiple times of driving under the influence will soon be required by law in Alabama to have a new device installed in their vehicles. WVUA's Lindsay Price with our story.
The ignition interlock device is being used throughout the United States and will soon be here in Alabama. It requires someone to take a breathalyzer test and pass before their car will start. Anyone who has a prior DUI conviction and receives another one within 5 years will be required to get the device. Criminal defense attorney Hayes Webb says there are 4 other offenses who will also be required to install the device.
Anybody who is convicted of DUI with someone who's under 14 years old in their car, they'll need it. Anybody who has been in an accident, DUI related, and there have been injuries other than the drunk driver, they will have to have the ignition interlock. Also, people who are convicted after a breath test refusal, or if someone has blown after their arrest and is convicted and they have blown a .15 or above.
Webb says he does see problems with the implementation of this law.
There had not been any ignition interlock providers in this state. And so, that's one of the difficulties in determining, how these sorts of things from a practical perspective are going to work out.
Alabama State Representative John Merrill says although no plans are foolproof, they want to do what they can to protect the innocent.
Anything that we can do to protect those people is something that we need to do, especially when it comes to driving under the influence or driving while intoxicated. That's not acceptable, and it's something that we need to eradicate. If it saves one life, what's that life worth?
Kenneth Krum was injured when the car he was in was hit. It spun and flipped over. He later woke up in the hospital, and he believes the device can help prevent this from happening to others.
If you think before your actions, it could prevent it from happening. You're drinking and your car won't start, you'd be like, okay, I'm doing something wrong for my car not to start.
Webb says the key to all these conditions is you must have been convicted. In Tuscaloosa, Lindsay Price, WVUA News.
And the law will go into effect this September. Now to Lowndes County in South Alabama, where 2 children are still missing. The Alabama Department of Public Safety says Jordan and Taylor DeJarnett were last seen in Hope Hole on Sunday. Jordan was wearing a black shirt and shorts. Taylor is wearing a blue and white jumpsuit. The twins were in the company of this man, Jack Mack Gardner. Officials say his white Mercedes is also missing. If you have any information, you are asked to call the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office at 334-548-2151. Well, babysitting requires many skills like patience and communication, and now the American Red Cross is offering training for up-and-coming babysitters. Red Cross State Instructor Sarah McPherson says they teach sitters everything, including how to interview and create a resume. They also stress this is a professional business. The training is for taking care of children of all ages. McPherson says the class teaches potential babysitters how to change clothes and diapers and how to wrap children in a blanket. She also says one spot where babysitters lack is giving a full report to parents when they return, and they oftentimes don't answer the phone correctly, which can create a problem if someone is looking for somewhere to break in. McPherson says the course gives them a feel for responsibility.
You have to watch them all day long. Even when you're taking a lunch break, you still have to watch your baby that you're responsible for. And a lot of times we take that for granted. Okay, I've got to eat, I'm tired, but my baby's still up and awake. So what are you going to do? You just can't take that break.
And you can learn more about babysitting training at the American Red Cross just by calling 800-733-2767 or by going to redcross.org. Well, let's change gears and get a first check on Alabama's home team forecast. Here's Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott. How is it looking out there, Richard?
Hey, John, good Tuesday evening, too. Got a few shower storms on the radar tonight. Most of this activity south of Moundville and Greensboro. In fact, one little storm right over portions of Greene County, close to Forkland Community, also southern and central Hale County. But to the north of that, dry air is taking over. That would be the trend tonight. Here's the showers now on radar, a little closer view there. There's Highway 43 north of Demopolis. These showers and thunderstorms moving towards the south, generally towards Demopolis, also Laneville and the New Bern community over southern Hale County. Greensboro getting a little light to moderate rain right now. This activity will continue for our extreme southern counties, but to the north, again, we stay dry tonight. Temperatures in the upper 70s. It is mild at this 10 o'clock hour, and our forecast for a Wednesday going to be hot, but not very humid. I've got the full details in your forecast, plus your beach forecast coming up.
Thank you, Richard. The Alabama softball team has made it any